Gabbie Hanna has become one of the most talked about creators on YouTube. Over the years, she's amassed a large fan base of over 6 million subscribers. After getting her start on Vine, she made a YouTube channel in 2014, with her content ranging from vlogs and storytime videos to music videos. However, she would soon find herself at the forefront of YouTube drama. Tons of YouTube drama.
I am so sick and tired of creators like you who just play victim all the time.
You can't just rewrite history and pretend that you are completely and 100% the victim.
Look at your social blade. Since September 2019, you have been actively losing subs.
It doesn't work like that. You can't consistently blame other people.
Gabbie's critics say that she constantly plays the victim, refuses to own up to her mistakes, manipulates her audience as well as the people in her life, and stirs up drama, despite saying she doesn't like to deal with drama. In addition to her worsening reputation, Gabbie's channel has also been declining in both views and subscribers. In 2018, Gabbie would get anywhere between 20 and almost 40 million views a month. However, this year in 2020, her viewership has declined to mostly around 5 million views a month. She started bleeding subscribers in 2019, and would continue to lose between 30,000 and 60,000 subscribers a month in 2020. And it eventually got to the point where Gabbie just hit her subscriber count altogether. People are fed up with Gabbie, and her own fans have started to turn on her. But how valid are the criticisms of Gabbie Hanna? Do her actions truly warrant such a massive backlash? Well, before we can fully understand the bigger picture here, let's take a look at what I consider to be her first substantial controversy that actually affected how her own fans began to see her. Many people feel that Gabbie doesn't take full accountability for her mistakes, and perhaps no controversy exemplifies this more than the Kenza Cosmetics situation. Although she would later take responsibility for the incident, however, she didn't at first. One day, Gabbie decided to promote a brand called Kenza Cosmetics on her Instagram story. More specifically, she was promoting what she said were free brushes, apparently valued between $70 and $90 depending on the set, and that people only had to pay for the shipping. Sounds like a great deal, right? Too bad it turned out to be a complete lie. One Twitter user writes, "I went on their site out of curiosity to see what everyone was talking about, and lo and behold, there was the set I bought in their 2018 collection for free, being valued at $75. I bought them for $10 on a legitimate site and got them 8 days later." Eventually, people realized that you could find the exact same brushes on AliExpress for much less.
It was on AliExpress for $2.
At $2.86 for a set of 10 brushes, this would place each brush at about 29 cents. And then there's this other set that was valued at $70 and it turned out to only be worth around $5 on AliExpress. Hardly the expensive brushes that they were marketed to be. They're so tiny, some of them are bent, some of them have long white pieces coming out of the bristles, some of the metal is sharp and pointy, and they came from someone named Rachel Liu, which is so weird to me. I would have figured it would have come from Kenza themselves.
And at that point, I just knew it was like a Chinese company or something because the way he was writing and I started seeing Chinese letters and stuff, I'm like, no.
But in addition to the brushes not being as high quality as they were advertised, some people didn't even get their brushes at all. In the FAQ of their website, they stated shipping may take anywhere between 7 to 25 working days, normally 1 to 3 weeks, or even longer, depending on your location and the opening hours of your local post office. But this unfortunately turned out to not be true. People also reported that months had gone by without receiving their brushes. That's right, Gabbie promoted a scam. She may not have done it on purpose, but she still promoted a scam. For this Twitter user, she never got them, even a year later. Hashtag Kenza Cosmetics. A year later, and I still never received my brushes. Anyone else? At Tanamojo. Yeah, Tana went on Instagram stories to promote the exact same scam before Gabbie did. Please, try not to be too shocked. It's also worth mentioning that the site had a deceptive timer that tricked people into thinking there was only a short amount of time before the offer would expire. Marky, a commentator who covered the situation, claimed that although the site originally stated the shipping would take between 1 and 3 weeks, they started singing a different tune after videos criticizing them were posted.
Because the site originally said 1 to 3 weeks. 1 to 3 weeks for the items to come, and then as soon as people started dropping videos about the situation, they changed it to 3 months.
When I tried to research this, KenzaCosmetics.com was no longer a working site, so I had to go to the Wayback Machine to check it out for myself. There was only one date when the FAQ was archived, and that was on December 12, 2018, a full week before Marky uploaded his video on the 19th. When you go to that archived page, you can see that in the answer to the very question, it specifically mentions that the shipping may take anywhere between 7 to 25 working days, or even longer. And when you scroll down a little bit, that's when you see the disclaimer that customers might receive their products after Christmas. Great job, Kenza Cosmetics, you ruined Christmas. Think of all the little girls out there who didn't get their cheap Chinese imports. You are officially on the naughty list, Kenza. Now, there's no way for me to conclusively prove that this exact disclaimer was a later addition, but using the Wayback Machine, I have come across two nearly identical pages titled About Us and Track My Order, in which Kenza Cosmetics acknowledges the delay in shipping and attempts to refute accusations of scamming. They stated, "Know first that all orders placed on our store since the beginning of the offer free brushes in October have been well received, and that we take great care to treat each of them. We must admit to you, to be completely honest, that a delay of several weeks is deplored in the processing of orders, in spite that we do our best to reduce the delivery times, which are from 15 to 25 days once shipped in normal time." People could access this post through a link on the front page.
But I think with this website saying, yeah, it's Christmas season, you know, you're not going to get your brushes for a while, I don't think that's true. I think that they had bought some Chinese imports and they needed to ship them off all around the world. They were literally shipping them across continents.
Interestingly enough, even as late as May 2019, Kenza still had a link to this post on the front page of their website, and still had the words "sincere apologies for the delay." That sure is a long time to not receive something you ordered. I mean, you can't really pay your rent with sincere apologies. Kenza's failure to deliver the brushes within the promised time frame is actually a violation of consumer protection laws in the US. That's right, a Federal Trade Commission rule requires sellers to ship items as promised or within 30 days after the order date if no specific date is promised. And to make matters worse, you could not get a refund. People would also report that Kenza Cosmetics wouldn't even respond to their emails.
So when you have a copy and pasted still currently on their website page talking about refunding vinyls, VHS tapes, and a bunch of other products that don't really make any sense to be linked to a cosmetic brand.
Ah yes, my favorite makeup accessory. VHS tapes. People were understandably upset that they got scammed. I mean, if you went to a bakery and ordered a huge fancy chocolate cake that was advertised as being worth $80, and then they just gave you a small dry $5 one, you wouldn't be too happy about it. But it's important for me to make something very clear. People make mistakes, and I don't believe Gabbie knowingly promoted a scam. Although cancel culture is still a problem in this day and age, most viewers are willing to forgive you, as long as you take full accountability for your mistake. Unfortunately, this is not what Gabbie did when she decided to make a video addressing the controversy, and as a result, it did not go over well. The video she talks about it in is a Get Ready With Me video where she's using products she declined as sponsorships, in an attempt to show that she does vet her sponsors. So, as she's talking about the controversy, she's doing her makeup. We're already off to a bad start in terms of optics for two reasons. First of all, she appears preoccupied with putting on her makeup, and so she isn't even looking at the audience. Typically, when you're addressing serious concerns people have, you want to give them your full undivided attention to show them that you're taking what they're saying seriously. From a purely visual perspective, Gabbie appears aloof and apathetic to the legitimate concerns of her audience. Secondly, there's something darkly comedic and ironic about Gabbie putting on makeup while talking about a controversy in which her own fans didn't receive the makeup that they purchased. I mean, what's the deal here, Gabbie? Are you trying to epic trollolo us or something? Because it's not a good look. I certainly hope that this wasn't intentional on Gabbie's end, but it would still be tone deaf at best. And I can completely understand why viewers who are already upset and disappointed about the situation could perceive this as her not caring, or even worse, her being condescending. Gabbie claimed that she was genuinely sorry that people were not happy with the quality of their brushes, but what she said next infuriated many people.
So I'm not sure what quality people were expecting when they paid $10 for 10 brushes, and I'm genuinely sorry if anybody got their product and was disappointed in the product. But I would also add, manage your expectations a little bit, Because if you want really high quality brushes, you're going to pay a really high quality price.
It's bad enough to promote a scam to your audience, but again, most people would be willing to forgive an honest mistake. The problem here, however, is that Gabbie shifts the blame onto her audience for having high expectations, even though the products were marketed as being worth between $70 to $90. She also does not seem to understand the main reasons why people are upset. In her video, she claims that people were already starting to complain only a few days after they ordered. To be fair, Gabbie appeared to be unaware that Kenza Cosmetics was already exposed as a scam when other prominent figures promoted it months before. It makes sense that she may have thought that people were just being impatient when they were complaining after a short amount of time. And she also says that she feels each brush is worth about $1. The website of the company Gabbie was promoting very clearly listed the brush sets in the $70 to $90 range, when Gabbie herself said she thinks each brush is only worth about $1. She said the delivery dates were on the site and that she even tried to contact the company about the delivery date. One of her points was that the site specified that customers wouldn't be getting their brushes until after Christmas.
The website was pretty clear about, the shipping times are long. I believe it said between 10 and 21 business days, and then at one point it said that you wouldn't be getting your brushes till after Christmas, since they're free brushes and you're ordering free brushes, so there's going to be a high order volume.
She also said that she reached out to Kenza Cosmetics in an attempt to sort out the situation, and we'll get into that exchange later. Gabbie also claimed that nobody talked about the brushes when they arrived, trying to make the argument that people were just too focused on negativity. However, this is not true because Marky actually did mention in a video that some people did receive their brushes after he covered the situation. But it doesn't help that there were at least a couple of reports of the brushes arriving in poor condition, and even if they didn't, they were still hugely ripped off due to the deceptive advertising. Gabbie tried to defend herself by bringing up the multiple sponsorships that she's declined in the past. However, just because she may have exercised good judgment before doesn't mean that she didn't make a mistake this time. This whole incident had damning implications for Gabbie Hanna's reputation. Many people expected her to do more research and felt that she should have been more responsible as an influential YouTuber with several millions of subscribers. Some people have cited the "manage your expectations" quote as the reason they lost respect for her or stopped supporting Gabbie altogether. There's an important difference between being controversial on a general basis and being controversial to your own audience. Part of what made this situation so damaging to Gabbie's reputation was the fact that she had antagonized her own fanbase. And I think it's fair to say that if these fans trusted Gabbie enough to take her recommendations on how to spend their own money, then they're most likely pretty big fans of hers. So to hear Gabbie dismiss the concerns of her fans was off-putting to many people. The most notable drama channels who covered the situation at the time were Angelica Oles, iNabber, and Marky. Gabbie would soon reach out to iNabber, who agreed to interview her on his channel. People speculated about why Gabbie would specifically want iNabber to interview her. Fellow commentator Petty Page pointed out that there were other YouTubers who knew more about makeup who could have interviewed her, while iNabber himself has admitted to not knowing anything about makeup.
So if you're expecting me to go all James Charles on this video, I'm not. I'm Sister Nabs, but Sister Nabs knows absolutely nothing about makeup.
Various commenters believe she picked him because he's a sweet and nice person who wouldn't go too hard on her, and because he was associated with Shane Dawson, since Shane put him in his Jake Paul documentary. In the interview, Gabbie actually took responsibility for the incident.
I think anytime people are spending money on something and then not getting the service or the product that they're expecting, it's worth talking about.
Gabbie also had this to say.
The thing that I wasn't taking into consideration was the fact that the website was marketing them as marked down from this price to this price. And if I'm being completely honest, I saw it because I opened the website, but I wasn't looking at it like, oh wow, they said these brushes were $60 and now they're $0. When I look at that, I'm like, oh, that's clearly not an $80 brush set. That's a marketing tactic. People always, every website marks down their prices to make it look like it was overmarked and now it's marked down, whatever. But just because I assumed that doesn't mean that my 13-year-old audience or older audience is looking at it like that. They were looking at it as I'm going to get $80 brushes.
I honestly think this is a pretty sensible explanation. Not everybody can spot marketing tactics like this that are used to make the customer feel like they're getting a better deal than they actually are. While it doesn't justify her mistake, it makes sense, and it's good that she took responsibility for promoting the site regardless. Gabbie also said that she had no idea that they were sold on AliExpress.
So some people were pointing out that these brushes were sold on AliExpress for much cheaper, and to that I'll say I didn't know that. I didn't research that, and honestly I didn't think to research that, and that's something I'm definitely going to be a little more careful about. Again, the problem I don't think is the quality of the brushes or the fact that they are Chinese imports. The problem is they were being advertised as $80 brushes.
Later in the interview, she states that she does not watch videos about herself.
Honestly, like, I'm a pussy ass bitch. Like, I'm very emotional, I'm very sensitive, and I can't just like sit and watch a video of somebody ripping me apart for 20 minutes. So I feel like my biggest mistake was I was so uninformed, and then I addressed shit that I didn't know, so I wanted somebody to ask me.
Some people doubted the validity of this claim, believing that Gabbie is the type of person who would seek out videos about herself, considering how concerned she can be about her image. One thing that was brought up in Petty Page's video is that prior to this incident, Gabbie had multiple interactions with a commentary YouTuber, Honest, and was watching one of his videos on autoplay when she unexpectedly heard her name. However, I don't think this necessarily proves that Gabbie was aware of the commentary community on a larger scale, or what they were saying about her. I've also seen people bring up how Gabbie put Marky and Angelica Oles in her tags, but that also doesn't really prove that she's seen their videos. It honestly makes sense that she would want her video addressing the controversy to be seen by her critics and by people who watched critical videos about her. Some people also pointed out what appeared to be a contradiction from Gabbie, in which she told iNabber that she didn't watch his video, but then claimed that she knew his content personally.
You know I didn't watch your video. I don't think that you were being malicious just because I know your content personally.
There's also this tweet in which she claims she has all drama channels hidden. However, it's important to mention that the tweet was posted in June 2020, and her interview with iNabber took place in January of 2019. And according to iNabber, she had specifically told him when she started watching him.
Gabbie, before the interview, said to me what video she started watching me from, so she's clearly watched a lot of videos of mine.
Some people found it rude and disrespectful of her to tell the person who's interviewing her that she didn't watch his video, but iNabber later clarified why.
But also, I did say to her, because she told me she hadn't watched my video previously, that don't watch the video, come in this with a clean slate, and I want to get an honest opinion from you.
This was done so Gabbie couldn't plan ahead of time to work around the questions, and so she had to give truthful answers. However, in retrospect, his opinion on whether or not Gabbie should have watched the videos about her was fairly ambiguous. Gabbie insinuated that she mainly got her information from fans who were tweeting and DMing her. But if you're going to respond to a large controversy like this, you need to know exactly what you're responding to, so you don't end up making things worse. In the interview, Gabbie agrees with iNabber that she should have done background checks or gotten someone to do it for her in order to avoid something like this happening. According to iNabber, there were people who had to pay more than $10 for shipping.
But a lot of people have paid $30 shipping fee, and somebody actually did send me proof of that where they ordered 4 products and they did get 3 of them, but they still haven't received the 4th product, which really confuses me because you'd think like Amazon or any other company they would deliver these things in bulk, but apparently not, and yeah, I think we really do need to talk about this.
However, it is worth pointing out that Gabbie technically never specified how much the shipping was. All she said was, all you have to pay is shipping. Regardless, it still would have been better if Gabbie and Kenza were more clear about this to avoid confusion. Also, it's worth mentioning that because the website is now defunct, it's difficult to decisively prove the details of the situation, so all we have to go by is the accounts of others. She then tries to provide context for the videos she made in which she told people to manage their expectations.
So the way I responded was coming from a place of like frustration and anger and feeling like, oh, this is just one of those things where the internet gets upset about something just because they're bored.
However, while we now have more context on the situation and have a better idea of her motives, a specific apology for telling her audience to manage their expectations would have probably gone a long way to repair her reputation in the eyes of some. She also made this point about how maybe the backlash was because Tana Mojo was involved somehow, and that's why people were upset. To be fair, it is worth pointing out the double standard here, because Gabbie got considerably more backlash than Tana, which is probably due to the fact that people expect more from Gabbie, and Tana has set a really low bar, which is why her filming a dead body or driving while she was high didn't seem to affect her career in any significant way. Gabbie also explained in the interview that she sent screenshots of the customers' concerns to Kenza Cosmetics and asked if they were aware of those problems.
And I was like, okay, hold on. I screenshotted everything. I sent it to Kenza Cosmetics and I was like, are you aware of this? Because I was about to do another deal with Kenza. And they were just like, we're so shocked to see this. We assure you that this is absolutely not the case. We've been upfront about everything from the beginning.
Now, let's actually read what exactly Kenza Cosmetics wrote.
Hi Gabbie, this sounds very weird. First of all, do not worry, we can proof all orders with proof of shipping and invoice of our supplier. There is actually a slight delay in deliveries at the moment because of the coming holidays, but the duration is 10 to 21 days, and we warn all our customers of this. Can you please give us a way to contact this person so that our customer service can help her? She didn't appear as one of our client. We started our free brushes offer in October, so orders made in July haven't been made on our shop. It's absolutely certain. It is maybe another website, and we will seriously investigate because this is unacceptable if we usurp our identity for scam.
As you can tell, there's quite a bit of broken English here, which should be a red flag that things aren't quite right.
I messaged the girl back for her info and the other people who are saying that.
We understand and respect your mistrust, and of course we will help any unhappy customers. It is normal that on all our customers, a small part could be impatient or disappointed. However, during this busy time of year, our typical delivery time is about 14 to 21 days. We are starting to get thank you email from Tanner's followers. We sincerely hope that the collaboration will still take place today.
I sent them more DMs, and then they were like,
Hi Gabbie, we beg you to stop to doubt about our company because of these person on Twitter. Of course you will receive the rest of the payment. If we take time to answer, it is because we invest a lot of our time to protect your image and calm these few people on Twitter. It is true that we have had delays for certain orders, but we are absolutely not a scam. It is now difficult for us to answer a customer who harasses us with 50 emails in less than 10 minutes. Remember that we have thousands of regular customers who are satisfied with their order. Unfortunately, the minority of angry people is always making more noise than the majority of people are happy with. From now on, each order will be sent within a minimum of 5 days. It is primordial so that we can build a long-term relation with you. If you are afraid of your image, know that you will be able to redirect each person to the official statement that we will publish. If you are afraid that...
So as you can see, not the most professional company out there.
I mean, I chose to believe a company over people on Twitter, which at the time felt like the right thing to do. And now I'm realizing, like, damn, Kenza fucking sucks.
Gabbie did say that she felt horrible about the situation, and she wanted to talk about it, since when she first addressed it, she didn't really know what was going on, which she admits was a mistake. She wanted to apologize, but decided against it.
As soon as I found out the scope of the Kenza cosmetic shit, I wanted to immediately come out and apologize. But I felt like there's no way anybody can possibly believe this is genuine. Because it looks like backpedaling. The YouTuber advice is always ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. And then you're like, well, I don't want to ignore it because people are upset.
Near the end of the interview, Gabbie did clarify that she was sorry about the whole fiasco.
I just want to make sure I make it so clear that I'm actually fucking sorry as fuck. I fucked up in a lot of ways. I am taking responsibility for it, even though I can say, like, the reason, like, it's still my fault, period.
People took an issue with the fact that she was laughing as she said it. However, Einaber defended Gabbie in this instance, stating that he thought it was just a nervous laugh, and he also thought it was a weird criticism to make.
I feel like it's a pretty weird criticism to make, considering we're all about being accepting of people's mental health, or just in general accepting of how people are in awkward situations, which this clearly was.
It's also important to note that when you're a YouTuber posting an apology video on your own, that's fundamentally different than doing a mostly uncut interview. If you want to show how someone really is, then having them on live is one of the best ways to do that, which is why Einaber chose to interview her. Gabbie mentioned in the interview that she was sent the products beforehand, and she tried to show that in her video, and wondered if she got sent a product that everybody else wasn't getting, which would make sense, since you would want the people promoting the products to have the best possible experience with them. A really good point that Petty Page made was that it would have been great if Gabbie gave all of the money she earned from the Kenza deal to charity, and fully owned up to her mistakes. That way, she wouldn't be profiting off of something that scammed her own fans, and she could show that she had the self-awareness to understand where she went wrong, and that she was doing everything she could to make things right. I believe this was a huge missed opportunity because not only would it be a great thing to do, it would have also helped repair the damage she had done to her own reputation. She claims she felt misled because other YouTubers promoted the same scam. However, people were quick to point out what they interpreted to be a contradiction in Gabbie's narrative. Gabbie in the interview states that she does her own research, but then she also stated that she didn't watch any of the videos about the situation, and when addressing the fact that the brushes could be found on AliExpress, she said that she didn't think to research that.
That type of company, Kenza, has been messaging us for like a year now, like a ton of YouTubers, and I've seen other YouTubers doing it and I've never done it. And I finally decided to do it because somebody said to me like, oh, why don't you do it? And I was like, I don't know, I just like didn't know if people like cared about it or whatever. And they're just like, yeah, but like it's easy money and like the product's fine, so why not? Like you can just whatever. So then I just went with it because of that, and it was just like dumb.
Whether or not other people promote something should not fully inform your decision on taking a sponsorship if you had already done your own research. But although Gabbie was lied to by Kenza Cosmetics, that doesn't necessarily absolve her of the blame for the fallout of the situation. When the topic of her responsibility as someone with a large influence came up, she discussed how the number of subscribers doesn't feel real to her, and how she forgets how much actual influence she has, and that she does not hang out with YouTubers. Following iNabber's interview with Gabbie Hanna, he clarified the interview by releasing a response video to address people who may have thought he was manipulated by Gabbie. In his response, he mentions that the whole point of the interview was to not state any opinions and to ask the hard questions. Gabbie had this to say about her ability to take criticism.
I've always prided myself, and like people in my life prided me on like, you're so good at taking constructive criticism.
People were quick to point out that earlier in the interview, she said that she doesn't watch videos about herself ever. However, right after she said she prided herself on her ability to take constructive criticism, she clarified that her problem is with recognizing constructive criticism.
Once I like recognize it as like, oh, these people aren't just hating me, these people are like whatever, you know, like trying to help and like trying to get real answers, then I can respond better than I did.
She might be good at reacting to constructive criticism once she takes it in, but she still mischaracterized criticism of her as aimless hate, and she still made a conscious decision to not face it. But with that being said, it's an important sign of progress that Gabbie is aware she needs to be better at recognizing criticism. One of the biggest criticisms people had of Gabbie in the interview was that she called the channels covering the controversy hate channels. This is a mindset that permeates the community as a whole. Unfortunately, this attitude really holds people back from improving. Dismissing anyone who criticizes you as being a hater may be easier, but learning to listen to your critics is an important and underrated skill. Before you had the big tech giants like Twitter or Instagram, where unsolicited criticism is seen as a taboo, you had places like Newgrounds, which was basically like the wild wild west of the internet. And if you're gonna post anything on the internet publicly, or even not publicly, you have to come to terms with the fact that there's always a possibility you'll get criticized. While there is certainly going to be some hateful criticism, especially when you're so big, YouTubers like Angelica Oles and iNabber are not hate channels. They just cover topics in the community and give their take on it. Although it may be easy to write this whole situation off as a one-off incident, the Kenza Cosmetics controversy features a core theme prevalent throughout Gabbie's drama, which is her difficulty with facing criticism and taking accountability for her mistakes. While Gabbie did eventually say she was sorry during her interview, many people felt it was too little and too late. Gabbie may have been involved in kerfuffles in the past, but this one was particularly egregious since it directly involved her own fans, the very people who love and support her. But one thing's for sure, this is far from the only controversy Gabbie would find herself entangled in. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video, and if you'd like to see me continue covering this, then be sure to let me know in the comments. Because I'm outsourcing more, if you'd like to support the production of these videos, then I'll leave a link to my Patreon in the description, where you can also get sneak peeks and extra content if you want. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I'm very interactive on these platforms. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Never thought I'd see you again. Look at all the plastic people acting like we don't exist.